Alright, so we are continuing with the unit conversion. Now I have come with quite some good examples that we are going to work with. The first thing that we are going to look is at length. Okay, length, how to convert length. Alright, so I have got an example here which says convert 78 kilometers to millimeters. Okay, now this question can come in another format and ask you to say how many millimeters are in 780 kilometers. It's just one in the same question. We have just phrased it in a different way. Okay, so now remember from the table of the prefix, the factor, and the symbol, we said this kilo is times 10 to the power 3, not so, and it was represented by k, which is just that one. All right, so we need to move step by step. So we know that 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters, but this can also be written as 1 times 10 to the power 3 meters. Just one and the same. Okay, so we know that 1 kilometer is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 3 meters. So if I don't want to write 1 kilometer, I can write it like that. That makes sense? If that makes sense, then let's continue. So we know that 1 meter as well is equivalent to 1,000 millimeters. This is equivalent to 1 times 10 to the power 3 millimeters. So this should be in your mind. You should know 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. 1 meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters, and it can also be written like that. Okay. So since we have established this, let's write them properly. Okay. So we know that from what we said, 1 kilometer is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 3 meters. All right. Now, we also know that 1 meter is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 3 millimeters. Okay. Now, this is what is very important here concerning our question. If 1 meter is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 3 millimeters, what about a kilometer? What about 1 times 10 to the power 10? So what about 1 times 10 to the power 3 meters is equal to x? So remember that this one is a kilometer. This one is a kilometer. We haven't just written it like that. If we wanted, we could have written it like that. So if we cross multiply, what we are going to have is x multiplied by that and this by that. So x is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 3 meters times z. Okay, let me not include that times z. Okay, so the answer is going to be 1 times 10 to the power 6 meters. Okay, what does this tell us? It tells us to say 1 kilometer is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 6 meters, or this 6 tells you that there are 6 zeros, or 1 million, so to say. Okay, so we have known that. Let's write it properly. Okay, let me write it from this side. Okay, so we know that 1 kilometer is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 6 meters. This relationship, we should keep it properly. And always remember it. You don't need to go through this. So now, if 1 kilometer is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 6 meters, what about 78 kilometers? So what about 78 kilometers is equal to x? So we just cross multiply. So x is equal to 78 times 10 to the power 6 millimeters. Okay, this should be millimeters. Okay. So this is how you convert. So that is the final answer. So we have converted 78 kilometers to millimeters, or if the question comes like how many millimeters are in 78 kilometers, they are 78 times 10 to the power 6 millimeters. But always keep this relationship. 1 kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters. 1 meter is equal to 1000 millimeters. 1 kilometer is equal to 1 kilometer is equal to 1 million millimeters. Keep these, that, and that. Okay, so that was our first example on unit conversion. Okay, let's look at area. Okay, let's look at area. So you can pause this video, and if you want it to solve, you haven't properly gotten it, you can pause and solve slowly. Right. So now we are looking at area. The example here which I have is convert 2 square kilometer to millimeters. So convert 2 square kilometers to square millimeters. Okay, so now this is very simple. Okay, because we have already established the background. We said 1 kilometer is equal to how many millimeters? 1 times 10 to the power 6 millimeters. Now remember, when we are looking at the derived quantities, we say the area is simply length times length. So area we only get it by squaring this by squaring this. It means we have converted length into area. So this is going to be 1 kilometer, 1 square kilometer is equal to, when I multiply this, is going to be 12. 1 times 10 to the power 12 rather square millimeter. So this relationship, we should keep it safe. This is how we convert. So you may not even need to master all this. So if 1 square kilometer is equal to 1 times 10 to the power 12 square millimeters, what about 2 square kilometer is equal to x? So we just cross multiply. So x is equal to 2 times 10 to the power 12 square millimeters. It is as simple as that. Okay, let's look at volume. Let's look at volume. Okay, let's look at volume. Right, I'm looking at the example for volume that I carried. Okay, it's with me here. Volume. So the question is saying convert 0.8 cubic kilometers to millimeters. Now these you can convert either to meters or what, just by using the normal relationship. For example, we know that 1 meter is equal to 1000 millimeters. I usually don't like writing it this way. I always like writing it like that. So if I want to take it to area, I'll just do that. If I want to take it to volume, I'll just multiply by 3. That's how things work. Okay, so what we have here is, we said 1 kilometer is equal to how many millimeters? 1 times 10 to the power 6 millimeters. Volume is c times 10 to the power 3, to the power 3. So 133 is equal to 18. 1 times 10 to the power 18 cubic. So if a kilometer cubic is equal to that, what about 0.8? Are you seeing how simple it is? Is equal to x. So you just multiply. So that is going to give you x is equal to this multiplied by that, 0.8 times 10 to the power 18. Okay. If you want, you can shift this one, and this one will become 17. That's how you do it. Right. So that's how we work around it. So you just need to know the relationship between the distance. Then you can square, you can do the volume, you can do everything.